Hello and welcome to episode 72. Today's star in focus will look very familiar to anyone who has previously watched episode 12, because today's Club Nintendo special is a replica of the original Game & Watch Silver Series unit, called Ball. In November of 2009, Nintendo of Japan announced that members of Club Nintendo would be eligible to receive a replica Game & Watch called Ball as a prize. The unit looks nearly identical to the original. This is, in my opinion, a massive accomplishment by Nintendo. Credit should be given for their attention to detail in its construction. Although it does differ in several areas, the replica features the Club Nintendo logo on the reverse. The battery compartment is very different, being retained by a small screw, and containing a single, 3-volt CR2032 battery. The unit also has the ability to increase or decrease the volume, that the original sadly lacked. This prize was only available to Club Nintendo members in Japan and was sent out in April of 2010 to those who accumulated 1,200 points or more and had reached platinum status. Unlike Nintendo of America, Nintendo automatically sent these units out to players who were eligible without the need for the user to register for it online. Released in 2009, it was first shipped in April of the following year, and sadly we have no credible records of the number of units made. However, the system is quite common, and therefore it is not considered rare. But before we forge ahead with today's star in focus, I'd like to take a few moments to reveal the truth and identity of the last episode's photo quiz question, where we here on our channel ask, what in the world? Annoying as it might be, the drawing back of the photograph from the micro vantage point to the full macro view clearly shows what this item was. And, of course, it's a beautiful Game Boy Pocket, first released in December 1997. So did you guess it correctly? The Game & Watch replica Ball was later released by Nintendo of America's Club Nintendo service, thus making it available to fans in the United States. Upon its release here, and worthy of note is the fact it required more coins than any other product ever offered, a whopping 1,200 coins. A upgraded and pre-installed battery came with every unit. For the history books, the developers of the Club Nintendo version noted that it was very challenging re-releasing and recreating the replica Ball Game & Watch, because none of the original documents or plans existed anymore. Nevertheless, the developers tried to make it as faithful as possible to the original, while deliberately making a few minor alterations. One of the changes the developers did was to mimic the workaround their predecessors had to come up with when making a bit of wiring that unfortunately stuck out on the original Ball screen, get hidden by a black strip on either side, like two encroaching pillars. Even though the black strips are there on the replica, in an attempt to make it look as close to the original as possible, the wiring is no longer present underneath and it was purely a facade. Another change is the addition of an option to turn the sound off, which was a luxury not available on the original unit, and a pleasing progression. The gameplay is exactly the same as the original 1980 version previously released Game & Watch, from the initial Silver Series, also called Ball. Basically the player moves Mr. Game & Watch left or right to catch a ball, or balls. Primitive by today's standards, it was essential that the original version was successful to ensure the progression of Nintendo's dominance over handheld gaming, that still persists today. The limitations of these LCD sprites to present effective, flowing gameplay movements, was an obvious challenge. Using what was really simple calculator tech to make a compelling game, was a brilliant, if not genius leap of faith in its day. Thankfully the entire Silver Series was seen as a success, paving the way for the Game Boys, DS's and much later the now somewhat iconic and long-lasting Switch. I think it is very fitting that this has been the only LCD replica Game & Watch re-released by Nintendo. I know the much later color screen games, like Super Mario Bros. And The Legend of Zelda were celebrations, whereas this was a pure homage. It pays its respects to where it all began, the very first handheld Nintendo ever sold, and as such is entitled to this piece of quality memorabilia. And that statement of truth brings us up to this week's photo quiz question, where we like to ask, what in the world? This is a tough nut for sure. The clue is likely in the writing, if you can make it out, but it's a hard one to guess. But the transparent blue shell seen here is simply breathtaking. So please feel free to hazard a guess in the comments section below, or just join us in our next episode to find out what this mystery item is. And on that suspenseful moment of query and consideration to guess our mystery item, I find that it is once more that time in our show where the various channels politely requests a quick thumbs up to support us, or a sincere comment be shared below, and, as always better still, sign up to a subscription of our channel. But honestly and truthfully most of all, I simply appreciate your time that you share with us and our passion. Thank you all so much.